You might win the lottery, but you'll lose your life. But that's okay, because it's just a clone. Or is it? Ooh, that's the question. We saw The Island, so you know what that means.
Now it's time for How Did This Get Made? We're gonna have a good time, celebrate some failure, not just be a hater, cause you know you wonder, how did this get made? Let's wallow in the mediocrity of subpar art. Perhaps we'll find the answer to the question, how did this get made?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to How Did This Get Made? I am Tall John Shear, and this is the podcast where we look at movies that involve clones. I mean, well, right now, that is primarily what we're looking at, as we are part of Clone Girl Summer. Get it on. T-shirts are available in our TeePublic stores. This might be the end of Clone Girl Summer because the pickings are getting slim. We did the 2005 Michael Bay film, The Island, starring Scarlett Johansson and Ewan McGregor, about two people who find themselves in a futuristic society only to learn that they are clones who are insurance policies for rich people that are using their bodies to harvest different organs if and when they ever get sick or will die. Anyway, it's a complicated story.
Pause.
Yeah, what?
Pause. Wait.
Yeah.
Wait a second, Paul. Say that last part again. The clones are for rich people in if and as to purchase as insurance policies.
Yeah.
For if and when they get sick
or die.
Yeah, like an organ farm or something like that.
Okay, so I thought, I'm sorry to have to jump.
No problem.
Welcome
to the show, Jason Mantzoukas and June Diane Raphael. Let's get right into it.
Thrilled to jump right in.
So I thought you didn't purchase a clone until you got. You didn't purchase that until you got sick.
I think both are being exhibited, because I think Ewan McGregor was diagnosed with he was diagnosed with hepatitis Z or something.
He was diagnosed with the fucking disease.
Yeah.
He fucked too much.
Philandering. And so I think that's why he got a clone. But it sounded like, to me, Scarlett Johansson's character, she had just been in an accident. So she had a clone ready to go. I don't think she knew she was going to, right? Wasn't that the case?
Well, because I also believe that...
so I think it can go either way.
Yes.
Because Scarlett Johansson's clone needed a heart, a lung, she needed all sorts of things.
She was in the hospital. She was in bad shape.
Yeah, mommy's sick.
But okay. I also believe...
That's what the kid says. Just to be clear, that's what June is quoting the child's line.
I like
Mommy's
June saying,
sick.
But I will say that I feel like the football player, in the future, was like, oh, well, we need to have this in case you get injured. That football player with the most unglamorous cameo of all time.
That's like the first Clone Girl Summer movie we did, which was with the XFL guy, right?
Yes.
Not replicas, the other one. Sorry.
Surrogates?
Surrogates.
God.
Oh, no, that's the last one. They're all just blending together.
Really blending together.
They really, really are.
This was an interesting, I'll tell you what, though. This was an interesting, once I realized they were harvesting organs, I was like, oh, okay. Like Clone Girl Summer taking a nice
vacation to the island?
Yeah. I was like, oh, this isn't exactly what I expected. And okay, this is another case study for clones that wasn't at top of mind.
This was an interesting version of it in that it was, all the other ones have been somehow predicated on personal experiences from the non-clones, essentially. You know,
this is from the clone POV.
Clone POV.
Exactly. Keanu misses his family, has to clone them. Arnold is cloned without his knowledge and suddenly there's two of him. All of these things versus this is oh no, clones are getting consciousness.
Well,
clones
I think
are remembering who they are.
Well, yeah, and I think that what a great way to end. I mean, the evolution of the clone. I mean, really, we went from them being a supporting player in their own films to really the
main
lead character. Yeah.
It's really
main
great.
characters.
It's really great.
It was nice at this point. It was nice to really like dive into
The clone experience.
the clone experience and just be a part of the clone narrative from the jump and to understand what it is to be a clone, you know. I mean, I don't want to jump too far ahead, but God, my question is really for the last scene, like where are all those clones going at the end?
Yeah. Yep.
Well, I mean,
that's a great question.
And what's
they
gonna
do have
happen?
the brain power, or they're supposed to be as smart as children. So I don't think they're getting too far, because especially where that clone base was,
It would've
seemed
been
to be
amazing.
like by a roadside bar where I feel like they're all going to get stabbed.
They're all going to the Ace of Spades, where they all found a matchbook case for Ace of Spades.
Oh my God! That
I would love
all right,
it if they all just like, because they were so not intelligent enough, they all just started like lemmings, like walking off of a cliff or into the ocean. Like
Yes.
if they were
Well,
like,
because
they can't help themselves.
The first shot that you see of Ewan McGregor out and about, he puts his face right next to a snake. That
Yeah.
snake is just gonna, ratchet him out. Just ratchet him out. I don't even know what that means.
Pick up a ratchet and
What do you think?
No, I don't
let's
know what
create a new
ratcheted-
term right now.
Ratcheted out. Where did that even come from? I don't even know. I don't even know what I meant. Ratchet out.
That's the T-shirt, and we'll just and the design is just a bunch of question marks. We
You should have a
we don't
ratchet
know what
in
it
the
means.
shape. The ratchet in the shape of a question mark.
oh my God. Wait, so here's my
Ratchet it out.
question.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay.
See, I need to be coming
I
up
wanna-
with more
I wanna-
phrases.
You
Okay,
need
I
to
want to
coin more
ratchet it out
phrases.
for a second.
I want to be like
because
the Vince Vaughn kind of guy. I got phrases,
I
man.
I want to ratchet it out because my question is, when a clone, like if we were to wake up inside that facility, we would be adults, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we would start off with like some sort of template of memories. Correct?
no,
So we
it-
just wake
no.
up one day and we're there?
Yes, we wake up. Okay, so remember the scene, both Ewan McGregor's dreams, but then also there's a scene in which they in the room and they can see that all the clones are watching the same movie. That's like the movie that is in his dreams, and so they're
Right.
implanting memories into all the clones that are similar. That are unique
Right,
to
they
the
were-
clones,
they-
about the contamination, about the event,
Okay.
about
They
their
all told them that one story, like, I had a bicycle and it was stolen. That was that story that
Scarlett
Johansson
Johansson
said,
yes.
where they go, oh, yeah, no, they mix them around. Steve Buscemi is
Yeah.
the one who kind of reveals that at that point.
So they don't.
Okay.
I think what's happening, what's unsettling is the clones have no memory. They have none of the memories of their hosts or of their original selves. They just are. They think all their memories are tied to this idea of the island and the lottery. Remember, the voice is like, "You want to go to the island. You want to go to the
Yes.
island." So those are their memories, quote unquote.
Yeah, they're very, I mean, look, we have, there's so much, what I love about this movie is it deals very much with, big issues, but it's funny. And, for us to do a comedy like this, I'm excited. Like when they got into
Well,
that
when you
sequence
said we're
where they
doing a
didn't know
Michael
what,
Bay movie, I was like, well, how can we do a Michael Bay movie? They're so funny. And they're so
Yeah.
they always make total sense, and there's nothing really like outrageous or pushing it too much in a Michael Bay movie.
to me, I'm always upset with a Michael Bay movie because I'm like, the camera's so still, almost like a Woody
Like a
Allen
play.
movie,
Yes.
people
Yeah.
walking in and walking out of frame.
Well,
Yeah,
it's
I
a
don't
lot
like that.
it's him and Lars von Trier. Dogma.
Yeah.
He adheres to the Dogma principles. It's pretty. There was so much. This movie, at a certain point, I was like, oh, this entire movie, and I'm so curious to see. I wanted to ask you guys a question. This movie is essentially all running and catwalks and how much do you think Scarlett Johansson and Ewan McGregor actually ran during this movie? Or is this like just other people running? Because they're running constantly.
They are, I mean, once they get, I guess they're even running inside the clone base.
They're
They're
always
always
running.
running.
They're always running. The movie should have been basically called Running, Jumping, Climbing, and Doors.
And sliding. Some sliding. Some
Yeah,
sliding.
some sliding.
They're running so much that at one point I was
And
like,
falling.
oh.
And falling.
Yeah, and falling down the sides of
buildings.
Of giant buildings.
When they're on that ladder, when they're on the ladder that falls, the guys first says they're on the 70th floor. They survive. Unless you think that clones are somehow stronger or more resilient, they are not. They fall 70 stories and are fine.
And they could have easily once they had these set pieces, they could have gone back and said, you know what, let's just add a line that clones can't be destroyed. Oh yeah, that would be great. Let's just get it through. But no, again, they go back to the comedy, which is they fall off a building into a large circus net after hanging on to a letter that is dropped. And a man just goes, oh, wow. God must like you, and then looks at Scarlett Johansson because she's very attractive and goes, oh, God must really like you. And that's kind of and we're laughing so much we forget about the
classic Bay zingers. Classic Bay zingers.
What I was going to bring up before was the dude scene, and we were talking about how smart they are. These people don't even know what dude means, and when they figure out the term dude, fun sequence. They're at the club, they're at the clone club, because they did build a club for the clones to hang out at. Even though the clone world is so sanitary and clean, they did build a club for them to exist in, which makes
what's interesting about this facility. There were several points where I was like, I don't know, I might stay there.
Doesn't it kind of look like a spa? I wrote clone living is like spa living. You're sitting by the pool, you're exercising, you're having meals with friends. Maybe you have to eat a little too clean. You want some bacon. But I was like, this feels like a spa week.
Yeah.
I was watching this being I don't know. I wouldn't mind after this 18 months. I wouldn't mind some time at Clone Island.
Is it kind of like a veal kind of a thing? Where they're just keeping them in the dark.
Eating them?
Well, no, I guess the idea because they have to be kept fit, because at any point someone can get injured and they'll have to go into service. But they basically, you could stay there for 7 years, you could stay there for 3 years. There's no end to it. So they do it really is just an insurance policy. They're there for as long as possible. They don't die, I guess, is what I'm saying. It's
well, do they age though?
Oh yeah. Do you just get a clone of the version you are when you want the clone?
That's what it seems like when they are birthing the clone. I don't know. Well, here's what I'll say. So in the scene where where you're in the room with all the sacks, right? And the sacks are all in different stages of development. There's one that's just a nervous system. And it's adult size.
Oh, yeah.
So my assumption is they grow you at the size you are or age rather, you are when you are scanned. And that's why there's no children. That's why there's no people aren't growing up there. Like Ewan McGregor was grown to be Ewan McGregor's age in 3 years. Don't they say he's 3 years old?
But he knew Latin and how to drive motorcycle.
That was the problem that's the problem they're
That's
having.
The problem
which
with the new generation.
He's starting to remember his host's memories, not his own. He's starting to be able to remember, which shouldn't be possible.
Well, wait. Now I'm having I just remembered a whole sequence of the film that I forgot about, and in 2 hours and 16 minutes, it's easy to do because there's so much information.
It's so long. It's
so
long.
It's aggressively long. They say at a point that women are breeders and they have children, and so when that one woman has a child, they kill the woman but keep the child. What is going on there?
They then walk out with the baby and they deliver it to that woman's clone host and her husband and say, your healthy baby is here. Remember? And they're
So
Yes.
people are using this not just as an insurance policy, but as like a fertility clinic.
correct. Like I think it seems as
Got
though they can do multiple miraculous things here. You can
Well-
if you need an organ, you can use an organ. If you want to use basically in this instance, it seems as though they were using the clone as a surrogate. So that they could still it was the clone. It was the same actress playing the host and the clone who's having the baby.
We see, now what I kind of drew a darker comparison there, which was that maybe there was some sort of accident with that baby. Because if the woman was genetically incapable to conceive or having problems, I would imagine the clone would have those same problems.
But,
So I thought that this...
Here's the thing. People do, because I think this is important. The clients think that what is being grown, their quote unquote insurance policies, they don't think they are
They think
walking,
they're blobs.
talking, thinking,
Yeah.
feeling conscious
At clubs.
beings that are, yes,
Right.
at clubs and laying by the pool. Everybody,
And
all the
missing
clients.
shoes.
I'm missing a left shoe. All the clients think is that exactly it's like a medical blob, like a
Right.
collection of organs and the things that you would need. But and Sean Bean gives a
Yeah.
kind of presentation to new clients that is like that reinforces again. The movie does you no favors. For the first hour, nobody explains anything. There's
No.
finally an hour in, Steve Buscemi gives you one big exposition dump, and there's another one like 15 minutes later that gives you
Steve
the full
Buscemi
sense of it.
has the best death of all time. I mean, obviously it's a Michael Bay movie, and he also falls from a height, but he falls into a glass tower of champagne glasses.
Yeah.
It is a pretty...
He falls
Like,
on
just from
top of like a glass bar with all of the glasses. It was pretty great.
I like that death.
After they go to visit him in the real world, so basically the clones all live in like a secret clone base, like lab in a basement in the middle of the desert, like in the middle of nowhere, blah blah blah. And Ewan McGregor and Scarlett Johansson managed to so easily escape that it's shocking. They managed to escape that facility. They find Steve Buscemi in a bar. They make him take them home so he can help them, which he does. His house, though, appears to be some sort of sex dungeon. What was that about?
Yeah, that was he has a lava lamp.
Yes,
He's got a lava lamp, which
like
is
like all creeps. Like
By the way, this movie felt like it was written by a clone because it felt like it had close approximations to what we would see as normal, but all slightly off. It felt like that. Like this whole movie had that sense.
It's a
Maybe
Michael
it was
Bay
just the
movie.
acting. Yeah, I know.
Wait, so it was written by a clone?
I mean, we don't know.
If it was, I would believe it.
I think that they tried to make Steve
Because
Buscemi
the clones were like, you know what? We need to make a movie where we're the heroes.
finally, we got to get Hollywood.
Wait a second. So, so here's my question. Not to jump ahead. So, but the clones at the very end, what
Mhm.
Scarlett Johansson and Ewan McGregor end up doing is turning off like a holograph machine so that the clones realize they're no longer staring out at the island because the picture of the island isn't there, and they realize they're just in this like giant mechanical structure underground. But
By the way, Island is a terrible name for this movie.
I
it makes no
agree.
sense. But I guess I was just confused. Like in that moment, what are those clones thinking when they run outside? Like it felt also like they were
Right.
forced
Well,
to
I
put
think-
together so much.
Well, I think Ewan McGregor is like the first domino to fall. They realize, okay, all these clones may be infected, but then they killed them. So I guess
No, they didn't kill
now
them.
I am confused.
They didn't kill them. They were
right, they put
going
him in
to
that
kill
room.
them, and then Scarlett Johansson and Jaimin Hunsu come in
They open that door.
and save both the people in the death room.
But they get hosed down with
something.
with gas.
Yes, they're in some sort of killing chamber, but are rescued from it.
Yak,
And and that's only the clones that they're afraid are going to gain consciousness, like some
Right.
whatever it is, the epsilon level, or I can't remember what it was. You know, they're going to gain consciousness. We have to get
Echo
The
level.
echoes.
Yeah.
echo level.
Yeah.
Thank you. So we have to recall those that batch.
Right.
And there were only
Because
seemed like
they-
there were a few.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there wasn't that many 3-year-olds in there, but I will say that what their biggest fear was to create more Jerry Seinfelds, because that sequence with Ewan McGregor where he sits down with Sean Bean is like, who are these people? Why don't I have these shoes? Why can't I eat bacon? It was such a weird, weird monologue about living in Clone Base, that it was I really tonally, this movie is a rough one, because it starts off with a yacht, sexy Ewan McGregor getting ratcheted out immediately.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, that opening sequence. But see, that's something I went back to later on. So, but that's not a memory that real Ewan McGregor had.
And I don't think so,
Those
because
men jumping into the ocean and taking him.
I don't.
It's an unreliable narrator.
Yeah, that I
opening
don't think is
dream.
true, because also Scarlett Johansson is in his dream, and that's not possible. That wasn't possible for Ewan McGregor's character. Ewan McGregor's
Ewan
host.
McGregor's character, Ewan McGregor's host, always dreamt of having sex with a woman of Scarlett Johansson's character, as he just plainly states to him as they confront each other. But what I think,
Okay, so
yeah.
well, just to speak to that for a second. So none of the clones at clone camp can have sex.
No.
But
They don't know what sex. Yeah, they have not been told about sex.
They don't know what sex is, but there are pregnant women there.
Right.
So
They think that they are
whose
breeders.
sperm
I'm
is
assuming
that?
that's the sperm, and my guess would be that's the sperm. That is like an embryo from the host, the couple who are the hosts of that clone. Does that make sense?
Okay, so
like
they
the
are
couple that we see
truly-
get given a baby, that woman and that man, my assumption would be their embryo was implanted into the clone to carry the baby to term safely.
Right. Well, because they are exactly the same. I mean, when Ewan McGregor clone McGregor, by the way, I believe this is the best clone on clone interaction that we've seen in all the films.
Agree.
I really liked it.
And he was so good
when
at
you-
it and got so comfortable at it. He played twin brothers in Fargo season 3, which is, I was like, he's done this twice.
I feel like he might have even done it again. I feel like there's another movie where he plays two people. He puts his finger on the starter of the car, and he's like, "Oh my God, you got the same fingerprint. You're worth every penny." And by the way, Ewan McGregor, the host, is just a boat designer. Like that's what his
it
job is.
seems
Is
like.
he just
someone's
designs.
got to design them.
Someone's going to design those boats. I love too that like it's so Michael Bay to have like all of the boat and all of the cars are all like concept things. They're all like future boats and future cars. They're not like it made me laugh so hard every time they were like, "Whoa, what's this? $750,000 Cadillac." Like his fetishization of like gear like that always makes me laugh.
Well, and then the big swings that miss, which is like Ewan McGregor in a phone booth with a wrapping of like it's basically the version of like Ask Jeeves. It was like
MSN search or whatever.
MSN,
Microsoft
MSN search.
is all over this. There's an Xbox scene.
Yes.
Microsoft
yes.
is the product placement in this movie is massive.
Oh, it is. I mean, there's a moment like a beauty shot of Ewan McGregor drinking a Michelob Light.
Yes,
Like
multiple.
Yeah,
When it was available, when it was available in like those metal bottles, as if in the future everybody's gonna drink beer out of a metal bottle.
By the way, it's 2019 in the movie. This movie came out in 2005. Shit has really it advanced. Like it's part like the cities that you might see in Star Wars, where there are a lot of flying car. Like there's a lot of stuff going on above ground too, but these jet motorcycles that they ride are that like
That
I feel
was
like
crazy.
that I like that technology. I mean, it feels like a straight rip from like Return of the Jedi, but I'm also like I was kind of into that jet.
Is basically a pod race inside LA, inside future LA.
Yes.
It's basically the same as a pod. Like I was like, poor Ewan McGregor is in another pod race now. He must be miserable.
Ewan McGregor said that doing that stunt sequence he's like, thank God I had 2 children, because I think it was a pretty awful to his groin area. And Scarlett Johansson in that sequence almost got her face sliced. An extra was hit in that sequence. There is a scene in the movie, I rewatched it last night because it was online, that Michael Bay's like, I told the guy, don't turn around. What did he do? He turned around and the car hits him and he goes flying forward. And he's fine, but they left it in the movie. Michael Bay almost was killed during that section too. Like, there was a lot of danger with a floating motorbike sequence.
But I'm sure they all look back on it and think totally worth it.
Totally worth it.
Totally. We nailed it.
Well,
we nailed it.
I mean, because I think Michael Bay is known for doing more action stuff. And I think what I liked about this was it was more of a thinking thing. It was about, who has rights? Or are we testing on animals? I mean, that's what I was thinking about the whole time.
Yeah, no, it's a morality tale, really. What does it mean to be human? What is the soul? Where does it reside?
Yeah, and I mean, that to me is always, I like his take on it. I like his take on humanity, because I do think that he has a good, like,
who else? Who better to tell that story?
Yeah. Exactly.
Who better to tell that story? And also, listen, are Ewan McGregor and I think clearly Michael Bay is trying to say this. Are Ewan McGregor and Scarlett Johansson like Adam and Eve? Mm-hmm. Are they the beginnings of a new understanding of humanity? Are they created in God's image from the Garden of Eden underneath the earth?
Well, I mean.
But it's also a movie that at the end has like the events that happen in Looney Tunes cartoons, or like in every improv scene that heightens to this point, which Ewan McGregor and the clone Ewan McGregor just start saying, "No, I'm the real Tom Lincoln. No, I'm the real Tom Lincoln." And the bad guys are like, "Wait a minute. Oh no, how do we tell them apart?" And I was like, this is. It built all the way to just like them pointing at each other.
The only thing that was missing was like fake Ewan McGregor pulling up a sign that says like not the like Bugs Bunny-esque. Like they needed a little hand painted sign. I mean, I will also say that this world of the future is so wild, because I thought you were going to say it builds to a point where just a giant fan kills the bad guy. I mean, where is that giant fan from? Like, it was a sort of like,
I didn't really know what that fan was doing exactly.
It was somehow part of the, so remember when Ewan McGregor goes to like the center of the Death Star?
Yeah.
And he has to be like, boo, boo. He has to power it down. There are so many Star Wars things in this movie. So he goes to that room where there's the glowing things and he's trying to knock it down. He's trying to hit it with a pipe. And he finally manages to stop the hologram. That starts that machine to fall apart, at which point the fan dislodges and cuts through the whole building. That's what it appears.
Yeah, it seems like the fan is like dropping from the ceiling, just going through. I mean,
everybody, Scarlett Johansson and Ewan McGregor survive so many not near-death experiences, absolute death experiences. Absolutely, this would kill everybody in the proximity. And they are constantly like walking away unscathed and looking dynamite.
Well, I mean, listen, they have been living a very healthy life in clone camp. Like they have been, they are physically, even if they don't have superpowers, it seems like they're physically at their best.
Right. They're eating their greens.
And to return to what you said earlier, Paul, I feel like it wouldn't have been much, and it would have made the movie make a little bit more sense if they had baked that in and said, because we're of this, that, and the other, they're stronger, their reflexes are faster, so that we would understand, they're surviving all of these harrowing experiences. Because if anything, they're so naive and they have so little understanding of the world as it exists. at every step of the way, they should walk out and immediately be hit by a car. They should walk out and like accidentally die because they don't understand society's rules or the world as it is. You know,
when someone says he's in the can, they're like, "What is that?" Like they have so little. I think going back to what June was saying, and I'm getting it now, June. Like, what would their minds do in this world? It is too much information. Like it is, I don't, you would need to be tutored on some level. It would be like going from the
inside the matrix to outside the matrix, which is exactly what it is.
Yeah. I was going to say just from infancy, like you learn language and then you see everything in front of you. It's not fair. It's not right. These clones.
They never have like a whoa moment or they never look at the world, the real world as it is, and feel like surprised or impressed or they don't have any. They always seem to be able
they
to
practice like radical acceptance, just like it's just completely radically accepting their circumstances as they find them.
The movie is all about yes and.
All right. Well, let me ask you this question here about something that I just noticed. And as I'm watching a movie like this in 2 hours and 16 minutes, I'm like, my mind wanders at points. But I just want to get into the idea of the cliff face hanging scene. This trope that is in so many movies where there's some sort of battle, someone skids off the side of a building, and then someone's holding their hand and they're dangling. That really doesn't seem to happen ever in real life. Like, that's not like a thing like, oh, in our society, oh my God, if only I had someone to hold my hand, I wouldn't have fallen off that cliff. And it seems to be like one of the most common things to happen in movies of amazingly good caliber, Mission Impossible movies to a movie like this. And I don't know what our fascination with that thing is, like the hanging by a hand over. I mean, it's such an I don't know. Is that like a very high thought to have about this way? I wasn't high, but just watching that made me laugh. Like that's in so much of our pop culture.
It really is, in terms of like a situation that has so many stakes to it, life or death, hanging on by a thread, but still rescuable. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you can still be pulled in or up on the roof or back into a window or whatever you've fallen out of. I know
also
what you
the
mean.
stakes for the person who's rescuing, because I was actually a bit nervous for Ewan McGregor in that scene, like that he'd be pulled over. So that's why I think he would be. Yeah,
he would be. They would both be dead. That's why we don't see it in real life, because nobody can do that. Nobody can hang on. Nobody can pull someone up. It's like game over for everybody.
It really is, and I don't think I have the upper body strength to save you, Paul.
Oh wow,
June, I would try very hard. I think we should save moves like this for movies like Gymkata, where you are training in gymnastics and maybe you do have that upper body strength. I mean, look, June, I would hold on to you as tight as possible. I know, though, as I was holding onto your hand, you would want to maybe put your hair back up in one of those scrunchies that you might have, and I feel like you would be wiggling to maybe do that. And I would say, don't worry about that right now. And you said, but the hair's in my eyes. I just want to pull it back. I just need to pull it back.
I do think that I was in that scene. It did seem like Scarlett Johansson wasn't helping herself. I was like a little less looking around and flailing about and looking down and screaming, like a little more looking up and holding on.
Yeah.
And be still.
And she's screaming, pull me up, which is like, yeah, obviously that's what's going to happen. Like we're going to get there. But yeah, like if she could get a little bit more purchase, that might be helpful. Yeah,
like just sort of bear down or hoist up or just help, It seemed like she was really making it difficult for him.
Well, this gets back to they're dangling off the logo letter on the 70th floor of a skyscraper.
Yeah.
They are less than, I don't know, 10 hours outside of a bunker they've lived in their whole lives.
They've never seen
and
the
now
building.
They're hanging off of a skyscraper. Like from morning to afternoon, they're having quite a day.
Well, they took that train, which was absurdly large.
Oh yeah,
like that was. I mean, that
Forgot they were on
train.
the train. Yeah.
I mean, that train. Just from a perspective, why I feel like someone might have goofed on that train because it did look larger than it needed to be based on how these cities looked once they were there. Like it wasn't like everything is like metropolis level, kind of like Fritz Lang.
Future City.
Yeah. That train, and by the way, that train seemed to levitate. So why the fuck are there train wheels being transported around the city?
Such a good question. There, I was going to say that train has no wheels.
Wait,
Yes.
are you talking about, okay, because the scene that I loved and laughed so hard at was the scene where there were those giant dumbbells.
That's what we're talking
those
about.
are
That's
the
what
train
you're
wheels,
talking
yes.
about?
Yeah,
Wait, are
the
you
robot-
saying those are train wheels?
Yes.
That's what
Wait.
they look like. Yes, like that would be underneath an a contemporary engine.
Oh,
car.
I did not know what they were.
I called them a robot. I called them, in my notes, robot rattles because they look like rattles, but they were so giant that I was like,
Yeah.
the Transformer
And to
would
me,
use this.
they just look like giant dumbbells. I laughed so hard at that scene. Those things rolling off. I was dying.
Again, there must have been so many civilian casualties.
Sure.
Oh,
so many real people must have been killed by those like fully giant steel wheels crashing through highways.
By the way, and I know that both of you love these films, so I'm going to defer to you because you're the experts. Didn't this seem like straight up out of Transformers though? Like
Very
that whole
much.
section, I was like, oh, he just was like, I love the train wheels so much. I'm gonna make like it was like I'm gonna do it again. It's like that very Stephen King mentality of like, oh yeah, let me just repeat that one more time because
there was definitely a moment where I was like, because it's filmed like Michael Bay, because it feels like such a Michael Bay movie, and they kept focusing on that again, that concept Mack truck. The front of that future Mack truck. I was like, I keep expecting it to just like stop and go like Autobots to me, find the Allspark. You know, I fully expected it to become Optimus Prime.
Oh, by the way, Molly just wrote in here. She said that some of those shots were reused in Dark Side of the Moon, the Transformers movie. Yes.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
So
Holy shit.
He didn't
That's
even
funny.
just redo it. He just reused it. Wow.
He's the best. He's just so funny.
I was reading through a review of the commentary track, and some of the things that he said are
You read a lot of reviews of commentary tracks, right?
Well, you know what it is?
Primarily what you read.
So you don't read reviews of the movie. You just read how a review and takes on how people are feeling about like director's commentary.
Yeah.
You told me to watch something recently because the commentary track was getting great reviews.
Yeah, you gotta listen to. I mean, look, I'll sometimes just watch the commentary track, forget about the movie. I just want to see what was going on in the mind of the filmmaker. But there was a moment that he was talking about, like he's so cocky about something. Like in the commentary track, he's like, "See this scene? See this scene? I'm not even gonna tell you where we shot this. I'm not even gonna tell you where we shot this because I'm gonna reuse it, and I don't want you to steal it."
Oh my God.
Like he's so
amazing.
He's like, I love that he is so into it. And he said that there was a couple of great little moments like that where he is so cocky about this movie, and then the end of the commentary track is like, all right, let's talk brass tacks. No one saw this movie.
Holy shit, that's funny.
But you know what? There is a lot of. I mean, I will say this. There is a lot of good stuff in this movie. Like ultimately, like the core of this movie is interesting. It just feels bloated in every possible way.
No, I agree. I mean, in some ways, I have to be honest. In some ways, this was my favorite clone movie.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I thought it posed questions that were actually valid and like, oh, yeah, what, having to think about organ donation and, fertility and all of that stuff. Like that was really interesting to me and thinking about cloning in that way. But there is about an extra hour on it.
Yes. That could have been cut literally from all the chase sequences. There's just too much chasing, too much running, too much chasing.
It's as if we were in the island because the way that they do the setup of like the twist, like they're not going to an island. Like we were brought in under a false pretense as well. And I don't know if that necessarily worked or did anything for me because as an audience member, I'm not excited about these people going to the island because then it seems like there's no movie. Like, what's the movie?
You know what's interesting?
White Lotus.
I thought what I thought the reveal was that they're not going to the island. They're already at the island, and the island is just the lab and the research facility. There is no vacation, like you get to live your best life island. It's not that. I felt like, when they came up into the quote unquote real world, I was like, oh, they're about to find out they're already on the island. It's just the island is like the villain's lair, essentially. The Bond, like Sean Bean is like a Bond villain, and his island is where he makes these clones. But that wasn't the case. So I agree. The island is so misleading, and it's such a powerful and important kind of aspirational element to the characters in the movie that I was like, I had to be like, right. There is no island. The island doesn't. The island is mythology that they are giving the clones. It's not based on any reality inside the real world.
Which is a hard pill to swallow.
Sure.
When the movie is called The Island.
Yeah, because I'm picturing,
but again, they swallow it quickly.
Surfing.
Yeah.
I mean, Michael Clark, I want to just call out some good performances, and I know I mentioned them already. Michael Clark Duncan playing happy and excitable was
wonderful. Wonderful.
What a joyous performance by this man.
Yeah. Oh, Ezra equally when he awakens during his surgery, it panics and runs through the hospital facility with his chest open. I thought that was a great performance as well, and both really heartbreaking, but also like in that way that Michael Bay just his sense of humor is tied to all of the wrong things. Like the Michael Clark Duncan awakening during surgery, having a complete existential crisis, then running through the halls, but like in a way that is almost like Three Stooges comedy, is happening as well. I was like, this is a Michael Bay movie. It is. He will put jokes in the emotional beats, and he'll attempt to put emotion in the joke beats.
So true. Emphasis on the wrong syllable.
It's always wrong. It's always
wrong.
I will say that like you wanted a romantic moment between Scarlett Johansson and Ewan McGregor at that point when they do kiss, and it quickly deflated by that tongue line in a moment that I'm like, I kind of like it, but I'm also like, I think you just undercut this. Like you undercut this moment. Like I get it.
But that's the thing is like, what's so interesting is they don't normally, they only a few times have that degree of naivete, like in the bar, like you described earlier in this moment here. But that could have been part of the whole movie. You could have been like, they are fish out of water everywhere. They don't know how the world works.
I would have been interested in that. Yeah.
I would have too.
I didn't want to talk about this. The reason why I picked this movie is because I am working on an HBO Max series. It is a spin-off of this. It's a single cam comedy about two clones, and we're going to explore this. This is the thing. I need to just get out in front of it right now. Yeah, I am doing, it's called The Island.
Okay.
Again, we were having trouble, but we wanted to get that IP. We need that IP. It doesn't take place on an island, but it's going to be all the kind of fish out of water, funny. It's going to be more funny things. Like, how do they work a coffee maker? They have a landlord who's a nosy. Where were you? What do you know?
That's
there's going to be a lot of fun stuff.
I'm working on a show right now.
Oh, wait, really?
Called,
what?
Well, it's a little bit similar, but mine's a reality show.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. What is
it's
it like?
called Sexy Clone Island.
Oh, wow. All right. I like this.
And the contestants all show up to an island, and what they don't know is sexy clones have been created of all of them.
Oh.
And the question is, are you going to fall in love with one of the other clones or your own clone?
Oh, so like, do you really love yourself?
Do you really love you? So it's a journey of self-discovery and also finding true love.
Okay, so this is something that I actually was thinking about and while watching this movie. I don't ever want to meet myself.
I like that you think that's like
ever.
Oh, because you're like,
want to meet myself. I know the whole purpose of like analysis and all of that is like return to self, all of that. But I'm like, I appreciate a healthy distance. I don't ever want to see her.
You know what I
don't
like?
Come face to face.
Her, you.
I don't want to see her.
I don't need to meet her.
What would that be like?
I really don't.
What would you?
I don't know. I'll be honest. This guy seems annoying.
Don't think I like her. I really don't.
But she is you. She wouldn't. But you don't think that you would like
better
you?
left to others. Like I just don't ever want to be in that position.
I know what you mean, and I
want to meet me because I think it'll be easier to make TikToks. Where I have to talk to myself, so I don't have to like change wardrobe and then change the camera angle.
See, now you're just pitching multiplicity. You just want more of yous to help. You want a you that's a crew.
Which, by the way, just so people know, because we've gotten a lot of suggestions of movies to do, we pulled an audible on multiplicity only because I think it's fair to say we all were kind of enjoying it. So it
didn't. We were watching it. We were all watching it last night, and texted to say like this. I don't have too much to talk about. This is enjoyable. It's
correct.
Great Eugene Levy performance. John Delancey. I mean, it's a killer cast of people that you love.
Yeah,
doing funny shit.
Doing pretty good work. So we switched to the island, which I'm very grateful for because this was way more fun to watch. But I know what you mean, June, in the sense that like one of the things I liked in the movie was when Ewan McGregor clone finds Ewan McGregor, the host, the prime Ewan McGregor, they make Ewan McGregor kind of a piece of shit, which I liked.
Yes.
Like I feel like that's a Michael Bay move. Is like, let's make him a piece of shit. Like, because normally I feel like the Ewan McGregor prime would be like, become then the human hero who's like, I'm going to help. And instead, for him to betray them, I thought was actually pretty cool. I like
the dirtbag, the Steve Buscemi is like our dirtbag character. He is the one who actually helps. But I think it was interesting that the ways that they set him up to be bad. He has a liver disease from fucking too much. He loves reading Maxim magazine. But he also, one of my favorite things
he's
about...
like looking at Scarlett Johansson and treating her like salaciously.
It is so... I mean, he gets so upset when they have like a connection. Clone McGregor and clone Johansson. But there's a moment where he's the real prime McGregor is such a bad actor. He's like, it's always like that whole scene was like... and when I just first went to the store to get bananas, that's what I was doing. I was at the store to get bananas, and and like, he does that like twice in one thing, and then he does like another thing where he's like, yes, I would like to talk to somebody here because my insurance policy's in my living room.
Okay, here's a real question.
Like that.
Do you think that Scarlett Johansson's character Jordan ever struggled?
Prime or clone?
Well, we never met Prime, just clone.
Right. Okay. I didn't know.
We just saw
but here's
images
my question:
of Prime.
like, do you think that she ever struggled with the guilt or weight of not giving up her life? So that
she killed somebody.
She killed somebody. And do you think she's going to go raise that child?
That was a really sad. Oh, when the little boy says, "Mommy, is that you?" I was like, "Ooh, That's heartbreaking. That's when
Yeah,
you
that
start to
got
really
me.
see the consequences of
Major
wanting,
consequences.
of wanting our Scarlett Johansson that we're following to survive and to be free and to have, free will and all of that, but also recognizing that what that means is
we need those organs.
what did they give Scarlett Johansson? 48 hours, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So if the organs weren't implanted in 48 hours, and they speak to it, Scarlett Johansson says that woman's going to die, or something like, I think, whatever. But that's, it's the movie is interested in kind of moral story. It's just Michael Bay is like, yeah, but also trucks flipping over and fans chopping everything in half. Let's add a little bit of, do you know that Michael Bay calls his action Bayhem?
Oh, yeah.
Bayhem?
Bayhem, like mayhem,
Yeah.
but Michael Bay style.
No.
I mean, Michael Bay.
No.
All right, so they were saying that, I can't remember the movie that was going on at the same time. This is also from the director's commentary track review. That Michael Bay, he's like, I was looking at this other movie. They're doing 6 or 7 shots a day. I'm doing 30 or 40. He's shooting 40 shots a day in this, and they said that sometimes the camera moves are so quick that he gives his crew less than 5 minutes to set up a shot.
Wow.
Which is that, it seems like it's even shot in a way. It's shot in a run and gun indie way, but with the most expensive cameras.
Well, yeah, and I think he also has 9 cameras on everything. So he's getting small pieces, but it's he's getting so much of it. And it's then just an assembly of chopped up bits,
I once did I did a commercial with an actor who was in Bad Boys 2, and it was a chase over a bridge. It's a big scene in Bad Boys 2. And he is part of the FBI team. And so he gets there on set, and he's in this truck. And there's a camera in front of him in the truck, and he has a gun that he's got to shoot out the window. And he's like, well, how are we going to do it? And Michael said, you're going to drive the truck, you're going to shoot that gun out the window, and you're going to slate yourself. And he's like, what? He was like, well, wait, I don't know how to do any of that stuff. He's like, don't worry, I have stunt drivers and they'll avoid you. So, don't worry about it. And this guy said it was the most stressful situation he's ever been in his life, because you have to shoot a gun that has recoil. You are trying to drive a truck as things are burning and flipping by you. And he said that he did the first take, and Michael Bay came down and went right up to his truck, because every truck had everybody in this chase had their own private camera. And he goes, what the fuck are you doing, man? You look scared as shit out there. He goes, I am. He was like, I'll fire you right now. He's like, don't be scared. You do this all the time. And that's his character. That was it. And you see him in the movie. He doesn't look scared. He looks pretty good.
That's amazing. I love that.
Imagine doing that. And apparently he's created a special, I knew this, but I guess this is the movie that he created it on, a special car cam that you could drive into other cars without killing the stunt driver. It is it's a special camera that you can basically drive into other things and it doesn't hurt the driver or the camera.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's pretty insane.
Oh my God.
Well, you know what? We obviously have an opinion about this movie, and I would say that opinion's fairly mixed. But there are other people out there with a different opinion. It is now time for second opinions.
The movie was a piece of shit, yet this person recommends it. Tell me, what is the message? Maybe that art is subjective. I need a second opinion.
Jason June, I don't even know where to begin. This is
5-star reviews of the commentary track or of the film?
Well, that's going to be the third segment in the show. I'm building into that. That's the bonus. That's our Patreon, is me doing 5-star reviews of commentary tracks.
That's our new spin-off podcast. Is where we just talk. We don't watch the
commentary
movie.
Track get made. Yeah.
We don't watch the movie. How did this commentary track get made? And then we try and infer what happened in the movie.
We we review and then we have another spinoff show there where we just talk about movies that we would want to do on the show, but we're not sure we want to commit to it. So we just bandy around what we think the plot might be, and then that's an episode. Just us looking at a poster and assuming. All right, these reviews are great. They're my favorite reviews I've ever read. I don't want to set it up too high, but I can't even pick which ones I want. The average rating of this film is 4.6 out of 5 stars.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
What?
So 73% of them are 5-star reviews. And there are over 4,400 reviews, which is a lot. This is big. So Anthony T. Tolentino writes, "We bought this movie on recommendation from a military whistleblower that was talking about these technologies and the real human cloning centers they have in the DUMBS. He said, watch the Island movie, and it's just like that. The title of the review is All Based on True Technologies Used Now. 5 stars.
Wait, DUMBS? Dumbs?
I don't.
I mean, that must be a real thing, but that's a funny acronym. I'll be honest.
That's what I think too. So the DUMBS acronym is Deep Underground Military Bases.
Got it.
Yes.
Oh my God. I love that this person sees like the reality inside of this Michael Bay movie. That is very unsettling.
All right, so this one here, written by Michael Sullivan, the title, "These Damn Clones Are Gonna Take Your Jobs."
Oh.
and writes this, "Look like Logan's Run meets The Matrix at first, but got more interesting as elements of The Fugitive were introduced." Now, can I just say, got more interesting than The Matrix? Okay, sure. A few holes in the plot to have some fun with. You have to be forgiving, but a story that has been told in many different ways, told yet again, it was worth watching regardless, because it's a fun exploration of adventure into the many things the future may hold, while also introducing a new generation of important questions about human rights and animal rights. In fact, that have existed for a very long time. I didn't see the animal rights in this, but there we go.
Usually I feel like this kind of story has like the first step is animals.
Yes.
You know, and we see, and there's usually some sort of cloned animal that we have come to love or whatever. And it's what, you know, but
clone.
this is really like straight up clone people. They're fully grown adult clone people. There is a lot of like coincidences and assumptions that we just assume to be okay in this movie. We can just grow full grown people with consciousness and they're fine. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
You know, all right. That's
well,
fine.
I had a question about that because when we did grow that baby, that giant baby with all the KY jelly on it, that person was bald. And, you know, as a bald man, I'm always looking for representation. So when I saw that, I was like, is that person bald or do they grow hair?
Do you think it was Vin Diesel?
I mean, I don't know. He's been in other things. He showed up to the premiere of Nutty Professor 2. So I don't know. He's always he's out and about.
He showed up.
He's not.
He wasn't invited.
Well, I mean, who knows? He was walking
showed
up.
And why do you know that he showed up at the premiere of Nutty Professor 2?
Because I subscribed to.
Were you running the list? Sorry, I'm sorry, Vin. You're not on the list.
I'm just saying the guy shows up in weird spots. You know, you never know.
Where you don't expect him. That is true.
Here's what I thought was a missed opportunity in this movie. Sean Bean should have had 4 Sean Beans.
Agree.
You know, like why didn't someone like manipulate? But maybe he's a scientist and he didn't want to do that. He was trying to keep separation of church and state. I don't know.
Well, if people saw him because he was interacting with the clones.
Yeah, but he could have had his own like cabal of like people together.
Oh, that's interesting.
You know, behind closed
It would have
doors.
been interesting if like when they need. Oh, I had a question. Were there 2 different police? Was there?
No, there were the regular LAPD.
Okay,
but then there were this sort of security firm that Sean Bean hired.
Okay, so they are the Jaimin Hunsu guys.
Yeah, they were impersonating the police.
So they're impersonating police. Okay, got it. Okay, that I got confused somewhere in
Got
there.
it.
There were 2 different police-looking entities, and I was like, wait a minute, are there 2 different polices in the future? I didn't know. I was confused. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to defund one.
Yeah, not fund 2.
Exactly.
This review written by Kimberly titled Loved It. This movie is great. This movie was great, and it's so inspiring, and it makes you thankful for the life that God has given us and the true loving soulmates that God has given everyone on earth to find. Soulmates are one soul born into two bodies on earth, only to find each other and be one again. Thank God for blessing me with my soulmate and the wonderful soulmate family. He has given me a healthy life for us all. Do not take for granted that you have a God who has given you something in life to keep your heart open, and loving God in so many ways, always 5 stars.
Wow. Holy cow.
Okay.
And then
that person is extrapolating the events of this movie into their own personal life. I would say this movie is not about soulmates. It didn't feel like this movie is about if anything,
soulmates.
if I'm this viewer, rather, I would have the question, do we think clones have souls? You know what I mean? Like, this is like, this is a scientifically grown person. Like, does consciousness equal a soul? At what point is there a soul? Like, I'm curious.
Well, Jason, I'm glad you asked that question because I have a review that's going to answer that right here.
Let's do it.
K7. K7 writes simply, informative. I think they filmed real human clones in this film. Yep. It's that bad in this world. 5 stars.
A lot of conspiracy theorists love this movie.
So there might be clones out there. If you are a clone, please call into the mini episode. Let us know about do you have a soul? Because obviously we've talked about Scarlett Johansson not feeling too badly about killing her other version. Again, these reviews can go on and on. I just want to read this one other line here from Victoria Celine Sky Demi, who titles her review Genuinely Captivated. She goes, at first, I thought it was a futuristic exploitation of coma. You know, the fact that Charlize Theron and Ewan McGregor were the leads should have enlightened me otherwise.
A deep reading of this movie.
I just love that she thinks it's Charlize and Ewan together working it out. And then... yeah, I mean, there's so many. I mean, this is just going on and on. The one big thing, this is one line I'll read here too. What was so surprising to me was how young some of the main actors were in this movie. Like, they only know them as older? So I guess, like, that's surprising to them.
Because it's an older movie, they look young. As if the movie made them look young?
Yes, this is the kind of gunk you're getting in the mix of here. Ratchet that. Ratcheting it up. All right, so here we go. Jason, June, we'd recommend people to watch this film.
Yes, I would, but it is, like you said earlier, it's 2 hours and 15 minutes long. And my recommendation would be there is 45 minutes of the movie is just running, is just them being chased, them running, them backtracking, running again, fast forward running. None of it is impressive or interesting. Like, if they're on a catwalk running somewhere, just fast forward and get to the next dialogue scene, and you'll have a shorter movie that's more enjoyable. I mean, some of the action is fine. I'm not saying, like, the car chase I thought was great. Like, Michael Bay knows how to direct action movies. You know, this is the Michael Bay of Bad Boys, of, The Rock. Like, this is good. This is fun Michael Bay when the big stuff is happening, like the car chase, practical stuff like the car chase. The CGI, like chasing on the walkways and the fan falls and chops it in half. That stuff it's not that interesting.
June?
I mean, it's so hard to listen. It's so hard to recommend anything that we watch. So, but I did not mind this movie as they go. Again, my barometer is so twisted. So I don't trust myself. I don't trust this like metric we're providing, but it is watchable. It is absolutely something that you are able to watch. And that's all I'll say about that.
Oh my God.
All right, I'm gonna bring up two interesting things. I would agree.
It is watchable.
It is.
You are able to view it with your eyes.
Yes, your eyes
This
can
movie
fall on
is
it.
available to watch. And if you choose to watch it, you can watch it. Now, here's what I'm going to do. Because I would agree with Jason, but I'm going to throw it in a different direction and say this. One of the interesting things about this film was there was a giant lawsuit around this film because apparently there was another film called Clonus, and they filed suit. And apparently they settled out of court for a 7-figure deal.
Oh,
so
wow.
pretty giant deal.
Yeah.
So this actually, Clonus was featured on Mystery Science Theater 3000. And it
so it's
stars
a movie that was like made. I see.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
The only thing, it says, the film is about an isolated community in a remote desert area where clones are bred to serve as a source of replacement organs for the wealthy and powerful. And that was it. It was the same exact plot. And the soon elected president, Peter Graves, is, I think, that a little bit more of a plot there. There's something, this idea of, it's really, when you look at the plot breakdown, I'm reading it as I'm talking to you, it is exactly the same movie. So bizarre. So I'd say maybe if you want, check out Clonus. That might be another film that did it better. And as Michael Bay said, during the press of this film, I guarantee there are people out there who would have this. He says that he knows a wealthy prince, he won't name the name, who has his own 747 jet complete with a surgery unit on the top floor. Inside there at all times is a 24-year-old man with the same blood type whose family has been paid off so that when the prince's heart gives out, surgeons can perform a transplant from a younger man. I can credibly tell you that this is dead true. I'm not going to tell you the country, but I know because I've actually been on the plane and I've known people who've actually met the kid.
What?
So leave you with that Michael Bay has been on the plane of a prince
my God.
who has a young man waiting to give his heart to
Wow.
some royalty. So that's the world that we live in. And you know what? Happy to be here and share some of that world with the two of you and all your amazing projects. What do you want to plug?
I love that. That's what I love about Michael Bay, is that he backs up a movie like this with a story about actually it's real. It's real and it's happening right now.
Actually, I did use clones in it. I can't tell you who, but two of the people in this movie are clones.
Oh.
And I'm not gonna get into all the details of how I got them, but they are, and they actually I'm gonna tell you that they actually served as consultants and were like, Michael, this is so, you didn't even ask us a lot of these questions and you got it all right. So, again, I just want to tell you that that's what they told me. And so I take that's all I care about.
Oh, so good. So good.
Oh my goodness. All right. What do you guys want to talk about? Anything new?
I just wanted to encourage everyone, if you have not gotten vaccinated, to please do. And if you're nervous about it or have any hesitations, I recorded a conversation with my dear friend, pulmonary and critical care doctor Kate Grossman, and it is on the How Did This Get Made feed. So if you are having concerns and questions, please listen. She really does a wonderful job talking about the risk and major reward. And then if you have anyone you know who is nervous about it and vaccine hesitant, please send it to them, because I think it's a super accessible kind of Q&A cheat sheet to talk to people in your life, which Kate says is the most effective way to get people vaccinated, is to talk to our friends and family.
I love it.
Absolutely. Thank you for doing that, June. And please, if you are out there and you think that is helpful, please listen to it and please act, because we need to get those shots.
Get out of our houses.
I don't have too much to plug, but I will say I watched the Val Kilmer documentary on
yeah.
Amazon.
Oh, I can't wait to see it.
And it's wonderful. It's really impressive. And it also reminded me just how wonderful Val Kilmer is, which made me rewatch Top Gun and MacGruber. Both incredible Val Kilmer performances.
Oh my
and
gosh.
Both very much worth watching. But please, I'm begging you, like everything's kind of getting a little ugly again and a little nasty again, and a little crazy. If you need an hour and a half of just absolutely losing your mind laughing, please watch MacGruber. It's absolutely wonderful.
And I'm so excited that the new MacGruber show is coming out to Peacock. And I've talked to some people who have been involved in it.
Good.
And it seems absolutely
I'm excited.
Amazing.
The movie
Amazing.
really made me laugh. And I rewatched Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar again. Also hilarious. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, so much good stuff out there. I'm not gonna burden you with anything else. I'm just gonna say, if you like this podcast, review it, rate it. It helps us on the iTunes. So do that. A big thank you to Avril Halley, Amali coming in at the last second, putting together all this island research when we called an audible within hours of recording this podcast. Of course, our amazing producer, Cody, our sound engineer, Devin, July Diaz, who makes sure this whole thing goes off without a hitch. Nate Kiley for all of his research, which was not used because of the multiplicity fiasco. And of course, our great graphic designers. I'm talking about Zach McAleese, who is AKA the ghost of Craig T. Nelson, and Kyle Waldron. You can follow us on our Discord, discord.gg/HDTGM. You can call us on our mini episode at 619-PAUL-ASK. That's 619-PAUL-ASK. Talk about your life, your love, or this movie. I'll be there to answer all your questions. And we will see you next week on the show. Make sure you visit tpublic.com and grab your Clone Girls Summer shirt. And maybe, who knows, maybe there's a ratcheted up shirt in there in the future. We'll see.
Ratcheted up.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Bye for now.